So we've reached the finale to the KrustyCutioners, the end of the fight with them. And I gotta say that the anime, for what it was handed regarding the adaptation they had to do of the manga, they made the best out of a Krusty situation in regards to the villains that they had to adapt. Because in all honesty, if you put all the episodes together and you watch it in a row, while these aren't really good villains or anything like that, or antagonists, I guess you would say, they did the best that they could. It's almost like you're getting a, shitty piece of metal and somebody's telling you, well, make a statue out of it. It's like, you're doing the best that you possibly can with the material that you have to work with. Now, the fights that we had, because for the most part this episode was just all fighting. You had a little bit of an intermission and whatnot, and I'm not sure if that was filler. I believe the Elfman bit might have been in the manga, but I'm not 100% sure. But the fights that we had, it was like, okay, Fairy Tail getting beaten down, and then finally in the end they overcome it. And, it was for the most part just like, yeah, my friends told me to do this and I'm gonna kick ass. But it was handled for the most part in a decent way. Again, comparing the anime to the manga, I'd say that the anime trumps the manga in regard to this aspect, as far as like these battles and whatnot. Mirajane's one, I think the Elfman scene, whether it's filler or not, it added to her scene, because then you get the little quick flashback of, what happened to Lisana, and when she just like, swallows a poison and it just goes in, I was like, yeah, this is a great Mita scene. It was a good fight for the most part. It had, like, again, the previous episodes of her kind of like struggling to get out of it, and then she overcomes it, because in the manga, the fights was just like Fairy Tail hands their asses to them. And I think that's one of the problems why these fights weren't really anything that you would like, because they're called the Executioners and they're built up like, you don't fuck with them. You see all these skulls everywhere, they don't play. But you got some dude going tai-tai, you have Cosmo that she just like seems all kawaii and everything, and it's like, it's very misleading of what they've done and who they're supposed to be. And when you see them, it's mostly comedy, and it was even treated like comedy. Like Lucy's, for the most part, her battle was just all mainly a joke. It was like, you got Aquarius there and talking about her boyfriend in the middle, and then Tai decides to interrupt and talk shit about her. And if they weren't supposed to be a big threat, it would have come across as, okay, well, this is just, some funny shit or whatever, let's go on with it. But the fact that they were called the Executioners, that they had all these bodies, no one ever escapes this dungeon from them, and they got their asses handed, and it was in a joking manner for a big chunk of it, especially the Tai guy, that's what makes it less of like, holy shit, and more of like, whatever, we got through this. The Wendy fight wasn't all that. I say probably out of all the fights that we had in this one, I like the Panther Lily fight the most, because you get that little flashback of what Godzilla told him. It's like, yeah, it's because of this, but it's also because of this. And it was more like a manly approach instead of just like, my feelings. It was more like, I got strong willpower and I'm gonna fuck you up. So I like the Panther Lily fight the most, I would say. The Natsu one really made the Executioner that he was fighting with the blades just look pathetic, because a good chunk of the reason why Natsu won wasn't even magic. It was just he ran up to him and grabbed him and punched him, and then, gave him a quick fire fist. But it really wasn't due to magic, so that made me look at him even worse, like, ugh, you lost basically to somebody not even really using magic to beat you. So that was definitely another reason why I was like, well, one, this seems like an ass pull, like you were deflecting him and you were giving him a hard time, but he goes with a weaker approach at you and seemingly can take you down. And two, that is just absolutely pathetic when you think about it. That's one of these built up people lost to somebody not using magic. So probably Natsu's fight was like one of my least favorite in that aspect, in that regard, when you put a little thought into it, like, well, this guy's a piece of shit if he lost in that way. And that was pretty much, for the most part, the gist of the episode. It was mainly battles. Good progression in the sense that we're out of here. And again, I will say that the anime handled this material a lot better than what the manga delivered. I will say that I enjoyed this more. It made slightly more sense, and it overall felt like a bit more of a struggle than what the manga did. And the best way to put it is, it's a good approach at some shitty villains. A good finale to what, they had to work with. So I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10. It gave some good progression. It got rid of the KrustyCutioners and is moving on. And next week's episode looks like it's going to be, oh my fucking god, I can't wait, based off the preview. If you haven't seen the preview, you might want to check it out, because it looks phenomenal. And I can't wait for next week's episode. But as far as this episode goes, it was a good one. They did the best that they possibly can, and the Executioners were just, at the end, they still remain crusty. The anime just made them slightly less crustier, but they're still crusty. And it was also nice to see Aquarius. I'll leave it at that. But let me know what you guys think. First of all, do you think that the anime did a good job with the Executioners? Do you feel as though they still were shit regardless, anime or manga? I mean, again, if you're a manga reader that watches the anime as well, I think you could definitely agree that the anime did a better job at portraying these people to be slightly more credible than what the manga did, as far as them being the executioners, even though they weren't executing shit. And yeah, just your overall thoughts of the episode. Did you enjoy it? I got a good kick out of it, and again, I felt it was a good episode with some good progression getting past these guys, and Natsu, Lucy, and the gang are going to hopefully get out of this dungeon soon. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say, or you enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.